public
But
health
why
official.
did trust decline?
And
Trust
because
declined
we were
because
told
of disinformation.
No, we were told
Trust declined
repeatedly
because of
that masks
misinformation.
work,
And it
that
was
social
done. Masks
distancing
do work.
works.
You're talking
We
to a
were
public
told
health physician.
this vaccine
Masks
is
do
safe.
work.
Well, it's not going to stop, but it's going to slow it and all these things. And none of those true.
We had Kamala Harris
It's not
that she wouldn't
Can I
even
correct
trust
that? Millions. We saw more than 1 million Americans died. You know we would have seen more
So
if
what's
we didn't have
going
the
on
vaccine?
with the side effects of the vaccine?
We have a so-called leader in the White House that's making
the president.
decisions.
He's not so-called.
No, it's misguided. It doesn't make sense. It's actually, frankly, stupid.
Hello, everybody. Guys, this panel gets pretty heated, and I think it's important to show just how much danger they're going to be putting us. There's facets of this that no one is talking about. Check this out, and we'll talk about it.
Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Dr. Chris Purnell. She is the director of the NAACP Center for Health Equity and the region at large at the American College of Preventative Medicine. Dr. Purnell, going from 10,000 to 300 means there's no way that the life-saving programs, of which there are many that USAID runs and funds, no way that those programs can continue.
No
Guys, that's a 97% cut. Quick couch math.
way. Look, we have a sick democracy, okay? I'm a physician. I deal in symptoms. I deal in signs. We have a sick democracy when we continue to put our nation and the world, if you will, at threat. Our health and our safety are under threat because of decisions that are so-called being done in the name of efficiency when they're like arbitrary. They're not rooted in science. They're not leaning into the public health practice and saying, are there opportunities to maximize by having the right people in the right roles at the right time? That's not what's happening.
And I think there's something to be said about the manner in which this is happening. I do think that there should have been more of a review process to see what the implications are. I don't have a problem with USAID being like folded within the State Department, that type of stuff. When it comes to government, it happens all the time. But I do think there needs to be some more clarity on the exceptions, because there are certain exemptions that the Trump administration has announced. Marco Rubio kind of alluded to that.
At 300 staff, there are no exemptions.
I was going to say, what exemptions
Rubio,
are there?
I actually feel bad for
10,000 to
Rubio because
300?
that was Tuesday, right? So we're now on Thursday, believe it or not, the longest week ever, but he seemed to have been caught blindsided.
Well, the word that they're using
this.
is essential, and so they haven't defined what
how do
essential
you go
is.
from
But I think it's
10,000 to
important to at
300
least
and use the
define
terminology
what
of
essential is, because this is part of the
Public health
transparency
scientists
that we
and
want.
physicians should be defining that,
But we
right?
don't know how they're
we don't
defining
see
it.
Malik,
because
but
we have,
here's the thing. I don't think, look, to be honest, it's a numbers game, okay? It's fewer than 300 people for a global agency. It is just impossible for these missions to continue at those staffing levels.
Think HIV/AIDS. How are you going to be able to be a world leader and a global world leader around HIV/AIDS with a dismantled force like that?
So you don't believe that could be
how are we going to
folded
be
in
able
the
to
State
beat back infectious diseases otherwise that are still being amplified across the globe? You cannot effectively lead by cutting down the staff of that magnitude.
But is USAID
and then you create
the only entity in government that does that?
It's not the only entity, but it is a very important entity. And if you want to create vacuums that give the opportunity for threats to proliferate, that's what you would do. That's why I said it's a sick democracy. It doesn't make good medical sense or public health sense.
I think there's an anti-science vein that's running through all of this. We like the science that we like, right? We like AI, we like electric cars because Elon Musk makes lots of money from them. But we don't like science that says maybe you shouldn't put as much carbon in the air. We don't like science that says maybe you should treat diseases in foreign countries so that these people don't get on planes and come here and start another pandemic. We don't like that science. We like the science we make money from, and I think that is the problem. You're putting money and your political interests before health.
I just want to play real.
I just want to say one thing. Yeah, he's right, but it's more than that. The right wing, the Republicans, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're likely going to be a Republican if you're into politics. Right? Like, Trump found that within his party. He didn't only find angry people, pissed off people that he directed that anger towards. DEI, black people, Hispanic, women working, everything, trans people. But he's also attacked institutions, right? The Republican Party at whole, constantly attacking education. I mean, they're getting rid of the Department of Education. And the reason for this, in my belief, if we want to go into conspiracy world, is that they want to keep people less educated, because it's factually known. The more educated you become, the likely you are going to be to criticize these things and question these things and think more than just what's in front of you or what someone tells you. You'll look into information. And when you start to do this, you'll see all these Republican talking points are just lies. They're just lying to you and manipulating you. Right? So this party has become a party of conspiracy theorists. This is why it's so easy to make them believe anything. And why I think it actually is going to be hard for Democrats to beat them. Because they believe anything. Democrat voters, you actually have to motivate them with something. To fight for something. Republicans, you can just lie to them. And say, oh my God, look at, guys, the reason you're so poor, you know why? It's because all of these DEI hires, these black and brown people getting positions all over the place that they don't deserve. You know what else is the problem? It's those damn immigrants. They're so violent and they're destroying our cities. And businesses are running away. It's just lying to you.
Quick, what Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham both have said over the years about this type of funding and why it matters.
We don't have to give foreign aid. We do so because it furthers our national interest. That's why we give foreign aid.
A lot of times people say, well, cut foreign aid. Foreign aid is less than 1% of our budget. But foreign aid can make a difference when properly used. It will not be easy to radicalize people who are alive, because the American taxpayers saved their lives and the lives of their children.
As a Republican, I believe that soft power, for lack of a better term, is the key to winning the war as much as hard power. And Mark, we're going to give you more money. I appreciate efficiency, but it's ridiculous to cut these accounts this much given the threats we face.
Look, that's called soft diplomacy. That's exactly what you heard Marco Rubio talking about, Lindsey Graham. But here's the bottom line, Abby, and I think this is where I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think politically this is kind of where Trump was a little bit smart. He came in and said, the American people don't really understand what USAID does, especially my voters who supported me. Right. They look at some of the decisions that the Biden administration made, which I completely don't agree with this ethos, but I'm just saying we know this from the polling, that they cared more about people in other countries around the globe than me in my everyday life. So it was really easy for Trump to come in and try to hastily cut all these jobs at USAID. The real picture, though, is that this does hurt American diplomacy across the globe. It does hurt people, and it doesn't just hurt people globally, it hurts people in the United States. There is funding that comes out of USAID that, for example, will hurt farmers if those funding cuts happen. In Minnesota, there's an article that just came out today that was talking about all the farmers in certain parts of the Midwest who are going to lose some of their support if some of these programs go into effect. So that's the story that we have to tell. And how it's going to impact the American people.
I want to just get you on this because we have you here for this segment, but there is a bird flu.
Yes.
Situation happening that could worsen. There are also talks that there could be significant cuts to the health agencies as well. Explain to us what that means for our health as we're facing the unknown with the bird flu and our eggs are costing double digits at the grocery store.
You know, I think it's best for me to explain it through the lens of the pandemic. I was a C-suite executive at a safety net hospital when COVID hit, right? And we had a then Trump administration that fomented anti-science, fomented misinformation and disinformation. And flatly, we were not prepared, had dwindled our pandemic and public health preparedness. So you look back and see how poorly we performed at that time, and it looks like we haven't learned our lessons. When threats are proliferating, whether across the globe or when those same threats are here at home, we could talk about the bird flu. We could talk about in Kansas, there's tuberculosis outbreak. We could talk about measles cases cropping up all across the United States. You don't gut the very force, and I'm going to use that word deliberately. You don't gut the very force that's your safety net, that are your guardrails to ensure that everyday Americans can be well and can be thrive. It's misguided. It doesn't make sense. It's actually, frankly, stupid.
I think there's...
Guys, over 1 million people died during COVID. And look where the deaths were. They were overly represented in red states. Because when Trump was so happy about releasing the vaccine, he saw that a bunch of his conspiracy theorists and right-wingers online started lying about this and lying about this whole thing about it being a conspiracy, all this crap. I don't want to get into all of it. And so then he started backtracking. And now he's against vaccines. Oh, yeah, I think everyone should have a choice. And if you don't want to take it, you don't want to take it. And whatever. That's not how this works. And over 1 million people died. And instead of being a leader and telling them, no, this vaccine works, he capitulated to the conspiracy theorist base. Guys, we better hope we don't have a pandemic. I mean, guys, the health secretary, RFK Jr., he doesn't believe in vaccines. He thinks it was a conspiracy. He thinks it was used as like a weapon. These people are just not all there, or they're grifting and trying to make money off people who go crazy looking into this conspiracy garbage.
Some legitimate questions, though, to be had here, and we see trust across the country has declined following COVID in public health.
But why did
officials.
trust decline?
And
trust declined because of disinformation.
No, we were told
trust declined because of misinformation.
Work,
and it was
social distancing
do work. You're talking to a public health physician.
This vaccine
masks
is safe.
do work. We also had
no
a president. We also had a president who told people they could do bleach. We also had a president that talked about drugs that weren't proven.
Dr. Purnell, let me let Madison finish so that you can understand what she's
saying. I think there's legitimate questions as to whether we can trust the so-called experts. And I think people across the country feel this sentiment. And I think by rolling your eyes, we're not saying that doctors are bad or every expert is bad, but I think those are legitimate questions because we were told this vaccine is safe. This will stop the spread of COVID. And then they evolved into saying, well, it's not going to stop, but it's going to slow it and all these things. And none of those true.
We had Kamala Harris say that she wouldn't even trust
It's not safe.
That's
And so many people have suffered adverse effects as a result of the vaccine, and the lawsuits have shown that too.
Lawsuits have not shown that.
Yes, they have. I have friends who have myocarditis under 30 years old from the vaccine.
My father died during this COVID pandemic.
And I had relatives.
My cousins died. Let me finish. My cousins died during this COVID pandemic. My sister was a long COVID survivor. I volunteered for that COVID vaccine trial. I was the executive in a safety net hospital
But that doesn't change
in Newark,
the
New
facts.
Jersey. We saw the
Doctor, it
data.
doesn't change
We
the
saw
facts.
millions. We saw more than 1 million Americans died. You know we would have seen more if we didn't
what's
have
going
the
on
vaccine?
with the side effects of the vaccine?
The side
Why
effects
can't you
of the
address
vaccine
that? When
are
they told us
normal.
that it was
adverse
not going to
effects
be
are something different.
right.
And because of that, let me just finish this point. Side effects and adverse
It's normal
effects
for
are
people to
two
get
different
myocarditis
things.
from the vaccine
No,
when we were
it's
told it
not
was
normal for
safe.
people to
Hold
get
on 1 second. I
myocarditis,
just
but
wanna-
that's
one at a
not
time,
what's
please.
happening. And let's go back to what you were saying.
It is what's
so-called
happening.
experts. We have a so-called leader in the White House that's making
the president.
decisions.
He's not so-called.
No, that's making
He is the
decisions that
president
are
of the
not
United
rooted
States.
in public health science.
But the
You talk
science was
about
not the
people
truth.
not
What we were told was the
respecting
science was not the
experts. Oh, the
truth.
science is true.
Madison.
So do
The
masks
science
work?
is true.
Madison,
Yes,
give me,
they do.
Madison, give me a second because look, we can't hear when everybody's talking at the same time.
Unbelievable.
And we also have to go, but I want to make sure that she can finish her thought. I want to let you finish your thought, but we cannot do it at the same time.
One thing before I forget, Malik says that, well, even Kamala said not to trust it because of Trump. He was constantly lying about it. He was lying about the COVID. Constantly while talking to the author, what was his name? Robert something, I forgot his name. And telling him how dangerous, how deadly this is. He was called on the phone talking about how deadly it is. And the day before and the day after telling Americans there's nothing to worry about. We got it all under control. It'll be over. That's why Kamala was saying, yeah, I don't trust a vaccine coming out of his administration because he cannot be trusted. He is a sociopath. Malik, you're such an idiot.
Thank you. So what I was saying before, and I will reiterate, because it's so important for the American public to know this, when you gut the very teams, scientists, physicians, leaders who have been trained, who have studied, who have lived experience, so that we are not caught flat-footed, so that we are not unable to neutralize threats. You only proliferate threats in the United States, and you proliferate those threats abroad. This is not pseudoscience. This is not conjecture. This is not imagination. This is hardcore truth. And there is a fundamental lack of understanding in the White House right now. And you see it with projections of cutting NIH, projections of cutting HHS, CDC, CMS. It doesn't make sense. And you're not going to find any physician that's going to sit here and tell you that those actions are tantamount to good health and well-being.
All right, we got to leave it there.
I mean, I couldn't have said anything better than that. I'm going to tell you my spiel. The only thing I would say about the whole they're misinformed in the White House, I don't think they are. They have all the information available to them. They know exactly what they're doing. All the data goes against them. They know exactly what they're doing. They do not care that they put their own voters in danger. They do not care. As long as they feed them. Again, there's this red meat. Part of the red meat, right? I call the red meat racism and bigotry. But another one of those red meats is this kind of conspiracy thing. You feed them a conspiracy, they latch onto it. They just jump into it. Right? And then there's another part that whatever Democrats support, they're just going to hate. Doesn't matter. Don't believe your doctor. Don't believe your scientist. Don't believe your history teacher. Why believe anything then? Why believe your math teacher? MAGA voters out there. Why believe 2 + 2 is 4? Maybe it's 8. Maybe it's 12. Why believe anything? Why believe anything that anyone ever told you? You won't believe a doctor. You won't believe people who went for years and years to study this stuff, that you don't have a modicum of intelligence of understanding what they're talking about. But you think you know better because you read some idiot online. Some idiot says something on about this. And you don't understand how capitalism, how business works. They're making money off you. They're making money off pushing conspiracies. You know why? They get views. They get eyeballs. They get ad money. And then the Republican Party just latches onto it. These people are gross. She's a complete cultist. Masks don't work. Are you effing kidding me? And one more thing about this USA aid thing that I don't hear anyone speaking about. Guys, this is meant to help other countries, but it's obviously the US doesn't ever do things that doesn't help us either. By helping other countries, crack down or scour some kind of immutable disease, that helps us because, guys, we do have, not only do we have legal immigration in this country, but we have tourism, right? People come and go. These diseases can spread and can cost us lives and a shit ton of money. And it's not only that, guys, but when we help this smaller country or this country or that country, it builds up a good rapport. It builds up good relationships. Allies. Would you want China to step in and do that instead? They have the money. What if they're the ones that start getting all that goodwill from the world? Do you really think that makes us safer in any way? Guys, it's less than 1% of the budget. These people are absolutely insane. And again, if they do end up saving all this money, MAGA out there, how the F do you believe that they're going to give you anything? Do you really think that they're going to give you any money? This is all a tax cut for the rich. And if you do get a tax cut, you'll get a measly 1 or 2% while they reap all the benefits. The last tax cut Trump did, the top 1%, I think, gained 88% of the benefits of that. Meaning 88% of the money that the tax cuts that Trump did on his last time he was in office went to the top 1%. He doesn't give a F about you. You don't become as rich as Donald Trump giving a F about the working class or lower income people. I'm sorry. There's just not many billionaires that give a crap about people. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. These people are just dangerous. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe if you're not, and I'll catch you in the next one.